Hello dear students, welcome to Bajirao IAS Academy, Daily News Analysis. Today is 7th August 2024, Wednesday, and today we have some important articles for the discussion. So one by one we'll try to discuss all those important articles, and we will also understand these articles from multiple perspectives so that it could be useful for both prelims and mains examinations. And before discussing all these important articles, yesterday I have given you one important prelims practice question for you. The question was with respect to Renke Commission, right? So Renke Commission that was sometimes seen in news is related to which of the following things? And when we talk about the Renke Commission, it was a commission that was appointed to look into the denotified tribes. In India, we have certain denotified tribes. However, the Renke Commission was appointed to look into the socio-economic development and welfare of these denotified tribes. Right? So, a national commission for denotified and semi-nomadic tribes. Right? So, this commission is also known as a National Commission for Denotified, Nomadic and Semi-Nomadic Tribes. So that was constituted in the year 2006 by the then government. And in fact, this commission is headed by Balakrishna Sidram Renke, and it has submitted its report in the year 2008. Right? So what are these denotified tribes? We need to understand the meaning of these denotified tribes. So we can say that they are Vimukta Jati. Denotified tribes, it actually means Vimukta Jati. And they are also tribal communities, and they were originally listed as criminal tribes during the colonial administration. And in fact, the colonial administration has also branded them as tribes which are addicted to the systematic commission of non-bailable offences. So that was the denotified tribe. However, this branding of denotified tribes was given by the colonial administration. And in fact, once any tribe becomes notified as a criminal, and all its members were required to register with the local magistrate, failing which they would be charged with a crime under the Indian Penal Code. However, this is discriminatory, this is arbitrary, and it is also derogatory on the part of several tribal groups across India. So that's why, in order to improve the socio-economic conditions of the denotified tribes and also make sure that adequate safeguards are provided to protect these denotified tribes, this Balakrishna Sidram Renke Commission was appointed by the central government in the year 2006, and it finally submitted its report in 2008. Right? This is Renke Commission and denotified tribes. So today we have some important and very interesting prelims practice question. So this is also very important and relevant. The question is, the Supreme Court of India's judgment in Prakash Singh versus Union of India case is related to which of the following things? Option A, right against adverse effects of climate change. Option B, labor reforms. Option C, police reforms. And option D, right to education. Right? So this is a very important question, and try to answer this question in the comment section. And the correct answer for this question we will be providing you in tomorrow's session. So without any further delay, let's start our discussion, and we will be starting our discussion with a first very important article, that is counting the poor having nutritional deficiency. Now in India, there are number of people, according to 2011 census, in India there are 21% of the population who are living below poverty line. However, recent census data is not yet released. Because of the COVID-19 pandemic, the central government has not yet conducted the census. However, it is expected that the government will soon release the census data, and then we would have accurate data on the poverty levels in India. However, there were number of agencies which have been regularly coming up with reports that India has made significant improvements in terms of reducing the levels of poverty in India. and that is a positive news. In fact, whatever economic growth, whatever development that we have achieved so far, that has resulted in reducing the levels of poverty and hunger also. Because when we talk about poverty and hunger, a very important program is National Food Security Act. National Food Security Act, that was passed by the Parliament in the year 2013, is a very important piece of legislation, and this legislation focuses on ensuring food security for the people along with nutritional security also, right? So even though through National Food Security Act, food grains are provided for the people at subsidized prices. To those who are below poverty line, food grains are provided at subsidized prices through the public distribution system. But one failure is that the food grains which are distributed through the public distribution system lacking sufficient nutrients, and that has been a cause of hidden hunger among India's poor. Now, hidden hunger essentially means that the food lacking essential nutrients, and that further leads to problems like malnutrition. And malnutrition is a manifestation of child wasting. So you very often come across these terms, child wasting, and it also a manifestation of child stunting. And even under 5 mortality rate is also because of the lack of adequate nutritional content in the food that is being provided through the public distribution system. Majority of Indian people who are poor lack access to adequate nutrition, and that is the problem. And recently, National Sample Survey Office has released a report, and this report of National Sample Survey Office is based on the Household Consumption Expenditure Survey of 22-23. So it is based on the consumption of households, how much the households have been consuming, right? So both food and non-food items. And in fact, this household consumption expenditure survey has collected a lot of data over the quantities of various food items. So whatever food items that the people have been consuming, and data has been collected during a specified reference periods, and also the total value of consumption of different food and non-food items also, so that we would get overall picture about India's total consumption, whether it is food or non-food consumption, so that we could understand the levels of poverty, we could understand the nutritional deficiency among people. So all these things can be easily understood when we have such a comprehensive data, and it would further lead to data driven and evidence based policy making also. Now in this context, what is the approach of the measurement of this periodic, that particular survey? Now what is the approach? That approach was used for the measurement of food and non-food items consumption by the people. Now, when we talk about the overall analysis that is being done, that is being actually done by the, Yes. So overall analysis is being done by the National Sample Survey Office. Sorry. National Sample Survey Office, it actually based on how we could actually define poor. And secondly, measurement aspect of the nutritional level would also be taken into consideration, right? So it takes into consideration the measurement aspect. How can we measure the actual, nutritional deficiency among the poor people, and at the same time, how we can actually define poor. So these are the basic aspects this analysis has actually looked into. However, previously also the government has constituted various committees The government has constituted various committees to define the levels of poverty. I think you also have the idea about the Tendulkar committee, Rangarajan committee and Lagdawala committee, and they were given the task of defining poor or identifying who all falls under the below poverty line category. There are certain people who falls below poverty line category, so that when we identified people who are below poverty line, then targeted interventions can be done by the governments. However, the below poverty line is a monetary equivalence, and that is based on the household monthly per capita consumer expenditure. So how much a household is actually spending, right? So a per capita consumption of household is the basis of the below poverty line calculation. And in fact, the household per capita consumption, that should be sufficient for the households to purchase the food and non-food items included in the poverty line basket, right? So that we would have a comprehensive picture about who are all below poverty line and what are the targeted interventions required for the people, so that we could uplift them from the below poverty line. So all these things have to be taken into consideration, right? So there are certain recommendations. These recommendations have to be enforced and implemented to further improve the nutritional levels. For example, government has been launching a various nutritional schemes, right? So the government should develop and expand these schemes. Especially these nutritional schemes should aim at improving the nutritional intake of the poorest households. So majority of the people don't have awareness about the nutritional intake of food. So government should also focus on the awareness component as well, right? Government should actually increase awareness and educate the masses about the nutrition and healthy eating practices, especially among the low income households. Now in India, if you look at the problem of anemia, so that is also because of poor nutritional intake. Now 2/3 of women in India have been suffering with the problem of anemia, and in fact it is a very serious problem, right? So 2/3 of women have been suffering with the problem of anemia, and as of now 1/3 of the children still suffering with child stunting and child wasting, and that is also a serious cause of concern in India. So therefore in this context, it is very important that the government should systematically educate and increase awareness among the people about the nutritional intake. And apart from that, through public distribution system, the government has also been providing subsidized food grains, and in this context there is a need to further enhance the access to subsidized food items, and these subsidized food items should also include the nutritional food, so that makes people whoever having nutritional deficiency, the nutritional deficiency can be addressed through providing subsidized food grain to people through the public distribution system, right? So we need to look at the aspect of every household able to meet the calorific and nutritional requirements, so that makes people adequately taking nutrition. And apart from that, monitoring and evaluation is also very, very important, and in this context government should actually establish, there should be a robust mechanism, and this mechanism should monitor the effectiveness of nutritional interventions, and the government should also address strategies as and when necessary. However, the government already launched certain programs to improve nutritional security in India. When we talk about those programs that the government has launched to improve nutritional security, so first, a very important program that the government has launched certain direct target interventions to improve nutrition and nutritional intake and nutritional security. For example, we need to talk about the Anganwadi services, the ICDS, Integrated Child Development Services, and even the scheme for adolescent girls and Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. So under the umbrella Integrated Child Development Services, they actually known as the direct interventions to improve the nutritional security of children, pregnant, lactating mothers, especially across different areas in the country. And apart from that, National Nutrition Mission, it is also known as Poshan Abhiyan, is also launched by the Union government. So this National Nutrition Mission actually aims to prevent and also reduce the prevalence of child stunting, child wasting and underweight, and even the problem of anemia among children who are in the age group of 0 to 6 years. And also the government aimed to reduce the prevalence of lower birth weight, because lower birth weight would result in post birth complications for the new children, right? So newborn children. So all these things can be done through the National Nutrition Mission or Poshan Abhiyan. So this ensures targeted interventions of people who are vulnerable because of the poor nutritional intake. And apart from that, the government has also launched Anemia Mukt Bharat strategy, and it was launched by the Union government in the year 2018. And the objective of the Anemia Mukt Bharat is to reduce the prevalence of anemia among children, adolescent, women who are in the reproductive age group. Remember, I have already told you that in India around 2/3 of women have been suffering with the problem of anemia, and in this context a strategy like Anemia Mukt Bharat strategy is very, very important to to adopt targeted interventions to reduce the prevalence of anemia. And apart from that, the government has also launched Poshan Vatikas. Now when we talk about this Poshan Vatikas, so it is also again a program so that essentially focuses on providing support development of Poshan Vatikas at Anganwadi centers, so that these Anganwadi centers could regularly meet their dietary diversity gap, and also leveraging the existing traditional knowledge with respect to nutritional practices. And all these things are taken up in the Poshan Vatikas in an integrated and holistic manner, so that it would benefit the children who are attending these Anganwadis as part of the integrated child development services. And apart from that, so we should not forget the food fortification and the initiative that the government has launched to provide fortified food through the public distribution system. Now when we talk about food fortification, so food fortification essentially involves the biological food fortification and even artificial food fortification also. So essential minerals are being added to the staple foods so that the dietary requirements or nutritional requirements can be met through this, and people could also have adequate nutritional intake. So food fortification or encouraging fortification of staple foods which are being supplied through the public distribution system, and it actually involves adding essential nutrients to the staple foods. For example, recently the Karnataka government has mandated fortification of edible oil, wheat flour and salt so that it could improve the nutritional status of the population. However, this is a measure to be emulated by all the states, and there is a need to increase access of this fortified food for the wider section of people. And in fact, there are certain programs also in the public private partnership, and these programs also aimed at reducing reducing nutritional deficiency across different parts of India and different segments of the population. So the most important is in the public private partnership is Akshay Patra Foundation. So this Akshay Patra Foundation actually partners with the government in various states, and it also provides nutritious and midday meals to school children, addressing both hunger and malnutrition. So therefore it plays a very, very important role in this regard. So after that, the next important article. Now we have gone through the developments that have been taking place in Bangladesh. We all knew that Sheikh Hasina resigned. So student protesting against quota system that was introduced in Bangladesh for the children and grandchildren of Mukti Bahini freedom movement, that Bangladesh has emerged as an independent state separated from Pakistan in 1971. However, students started protesting from July onwards against this quota system, because 30% of the reservation, 30% of the total jobs were reserved for the the children and grandchildren of the Mukti Bahini freedom fighters. So therefore, in this context, over a period of time, the anti-quota protest turned against anti-Sheikh Hasina protest, and that ultimately led to army, giving an ultimatum to Sheikh Hasina to resign within, 45 minutes, and she resigned, and she also fled the country and landed in India. Now, it is expected that the anti-India forces would probably form the government. There is an increased presence of anti-India forces in Bangladesh, particularly the opposition political parties such as Bangladesh Nationalist Party of Khaleda Zia and even Jamaat-e-Islami, a radical organization, a political party in Bangladesh. And even it is also expected that they may be increasing, it increases the instability in Bangladesh. So therefore, it has to be seen how India would navigate the complex relations with Bangladesh, because as of now Sheikh Hasina is pro-India leader. She is a pro-India leader, and Bangladesh and India have maintained very close and friendly ties as of now. But it has to be seen how India would navigate the complex bilateral ties between India and Bangladesh, because India has already made a lot of investment in Bangladesh. For example, India and Bangladesh jointly developing Chittagong port and Mongla port also. The objective of developing Chittagong and Mongla port to ensure connectivity, to improve connectivity in the northeastern part of India, and there are a lot of rail links, and even Maitri pipeline also, and even India and Bangladesh cooperating with each other with respect to Ropur atomic power plant. So there are number of areas both India and Bangladesh have been working together jointly, and we have enjoyed fruitful relations at the bilateral level. So however, it would be it would be more challenging for India that how India would actually deal with unstable Bangladesh, because unstable Bangladesh would actually become a safe haven for the insurgent groups, militant groups, and anti-India forces such as inter-services intelligence. So therefore, it is a very, very important aspect that India should regularly monitor the developments in Bangladesh. Now, why this is in news? We will, I have already explained this. So India will require significant political and diplomatic acumen. So particularly with respect to Bangladesh, there is no doubt that India as of now requires a significant political and diplomatic acumen to essentially navigate the fallout of Sheikh Hasina's fall. Sheikh Hasina resigned as a Prime Minister of Bangladesh, and she also fled Bangladesh. So that could potentially destabilize and even potentially reshape the geopolitics of the entire subcontinent. And very often when we talk about Bangladesh, Bangladesh is known as soft underbelly of India. So therefore, instability in Bangladesh is a concern for us. First, we'll understand why Sheikh Hasina's fall was not a surprise. Why it is not a surprise. So why? Why? Because there were widespread protests against Sheikh Hasina's government, because majority people in Bangladesh have the opinion that Sheikh Hasina ruling like a dictator. Sheikh Hasina's government has been becoming more and more authoritarian, suppressing the civil liberties of the people, because 300 people were died in this anti-quota protests. So therefore, the controversial quota system for the government jobs, and that has been indicating a lot of public discontent, and it is expected that this discontent would increase over a period of time, because around 300 students were died in this protest, and this protest would become more and more intense. So that ultimately led to the fall of Sheikh Hasina. And in fact, Sheikh Hasina's government has been accused of suppressing the opposition political parties, because Bangladeshi Nationalist Party leader Khaleda Zia was also imprisoned. So therefore, it is believed that Sheikh Hasina's government was accused of suppressing the opposition parties, suppressing the civil liberties of the people, and even suppressing the voice of the civil society by passing certain legislation such as the Digital Security Act. And this Digital Security Act was passed by the Bangladeshi parliament, and that was used to arrest the critics and even journalists which are against Sheikh Hasina's government. Now we need to understand the historical context also. The historical context is that we all knew that Bangladesh has gained independence in the year 1971. And in fact, when Bangladesh has gained independence, so far it has experienced around 5 military coups. There are different, a number of military coups in Bangladesh. And there are also political assassinations, because Sheikh Hasina's father, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, was assassinated, and his entire family is also assassinated. And there are also periods of military rule in Bangladesh. So instability in Bangladesh is not a new thing. It is a regular phenomenon. And in fact, as I have already told you, that Sheikh Hasina's father and her entire family was assassinated in August 1975 by the military faction. So therefore instability is not new. However, India should prepare to deal with any kind of instability, because when the democratically elected government was overthrown by the Taliban, and Taliban regime, Taliban 2.0, again came to Afghanistan. Now India has started engaging with the Taliban, either indirectly or to some extent directly also. So therefore we need to be prepared for anything, and instability is not new in Bangladesh. So therefore it would be a prudent policy for India to prepare for this instability and prepare to engage, prepare to navigate this complex geopolitics. Right, so first and foremost thing, there are number of challenges for India as of now with respect to Bangladesh. So these challenges include India's engagement with opposition. It has to be seen how India would engage with the opposition political parties in Bangladesh, and very often the opposition political parties have adopted the anti-India stance. Why? Because Sheikh Hasina's pro-India stance, these opposition parties have over a period of time adopted the anti-India stance. Now in Bangladesh there is a political instability and there is a political uncertainty, and in this context India should actually distance itself from Sheikh Hasina. As of now, Sheikh Hasina has got refuge, temporary refuge in India, but over a period of time, India should start distancing itself from Sheikh Hasina, and even India should look to engage with the opponents of Sheikh Hasina and a few individuals who are considered as anti-India in Bangladesh. So that would actually help India maintain its credibility, maintain its friendly ties with Bangladesh, and that would over a period of time would even influences Bangladesh policy towards India. However, it is very important that we need to focus on developing goodwill within Bangladesh, because anti-India sentiments have been growing over a period of time. Right, so this is very important that India should actually develop goodwill. And India should also need to prepare a potential exploitation of the situation by Pakistan and China, because now both Pakistan and China have viewed this instability in Bangladesh as an opportunity, and they also look to influence the new government and against Indian interests also. So therefore in this context India should actually prepare for any of those things, because if this political uncertainty, no doubt it has provided an opportunity for India's adversaries, particularly China and Pakistan. So therefore India should also deal with such complex geopolitics. Apart from that, we need to ensure the economic stabilization in Bangladesh, so that is in the India's interest, and that is also very, very important. Right, so economic stabilization in Bangladesh would also result in political stability. However, this actually requires collaboration between different regional partners to prevent extremism and even maintain stability. And don't forget that both India and Bangladesh are part of South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, and they are also part of BIMSTEC, Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation. So therefore in this context, India, along with other like-minded partners in the region, could actually engage with Bangladesh to reduce this kind of a political uncertainty, political instability in Bangladesh, and also maintains peace in the region. And apart from that, India should acknowledge that Bangladesh has its own political dynamics. It has its own internal political dynamics, and we have also seen, a number of military coup in Bangladesh, and apart from that, a series of instability in Bangladesh. So that cannot be solely dictated by Indian interest or actions. So we cannot expect that Bangladesh should always act as per India's interest. Rather, we need to ensure that it is a regular phenomenon. Therefore, India should prepare to deal with any such uncertainty. However, so India must prepare now what should be the way forward for India to engage with Bangladesh at this context. So India should actually have a diplomatic strategy, and this diplomatic strategy should actually focus us on developing a proactive diplomatic engagement with the new government that is going to be formed in Bangladesh. It is expected that an interim government is expected to be formed in Bangladesh, and India should be ready to engage with the interim government so that this fruitful bilateral and diplomatic engagement with Bangladesh can be maintained, and even avoiding the perceptions of India's interference in the internal affairs of the Bangladesh also. However, this instability and uncertainty in Bangladesh also created certain security concerns for India. So, India should be vigilant about the border security and even the potential increase in the anti-India activities, because we all knew that there are a lot of militant terrorist insurgency groups who are operating in northeastern part of India. They are getting safe shelter in several parts of Bangladesh. However, any sort of instability or uncertainty in Bangladesh would further revive, or it would further leads to the anti-India activities, resurgence of anti-India activities. So therefore, India should meaningfully engage with Bangladesh to address this potential challenge. The most important element is economic engagement of India with Bangladesh. So India should always prioritize strengthening its economic ties and also leveraging strong people-to-people connection, and it is very important and very essential for maintaining positive relationship with Bangladesh regardless of the political changes that have been taking place. Because for India, Bangladesh is the largest trading partner in South Asia. We all knew that, and in fact, India exports a lot of cotton into Bangladesh that sustains its textile industry, and textile industry in Bangladesh has been creating a lot of employment opportunities for the people within Bangladesh. So therefore, India should actually leverage this economic position to further strengthen its ties with Bangladesh. And apart from that, India should actually learn or draw lessons from its past experiences with political transitions that already took place. The best example is Afghanistan, because India had a friendly and close ties with the democratically elected government in Afghanistan. However, when Taliban 2.0 came to power in Afghanistan, so India is actually molded itself to engage with the Taliban 2.0 itself, because that is the essence of a healthy diplomatic engagement of any country. So India should learn to navigate this complex situation much more effectively so that India's investments in Bangladesh can be protected. India-Bangladesh bilateral ties can be further improved, and at the same time, India could actually prevent the anti-India activities such as insurgency, terrorism, militancy that has been emanating from Bangladesh, and India could also potentially address the problem of illegal migration into India's northeastern part of India, and India could also ensure stability in the northeast. So all these objectives can be achieved by India's regular and fruitful engagement with Bangladesh. So the next important article is Punjab's irrigation problem and the water scarcity. We all knew that Punjab is a region which produces staple food, rice, wheat. And in fact, Punjab is very well known for intensive agriculture. However, intensive agriculture has resulted in exploitation of the water resources. Water resources are exploited, especially the underground water resources, and exploitation of the underground water resources has been leading to the water scarcity in Punjab, and this water scarcity has been further threatening the food security of the people, because intensive agriculture, which has been using the water resources at extremely higher degree, and for faster degradation of water resources due to exploitation, would threaten the food security of the entire country, because we all knew the important contribution of Punjab in terms of providing or producing staple food, right? So we need to understand the irrigation problem in Punjab and how it leads to the water scarcity, and what are the plans of Punjab to overcome this problem, right? So actually, when we talk about irrigation in Punjab, so Punjab agriculture demands a greater amount of water, and in fact it is extensive or intensive agriculture is practiced, and the need for irrigation in Punjab is much more greater. It is because a chief agriculture region of the country. And in fact, when we talk about Punjab, so it is only 1.4% of the total geographical area of the country, but it actually yields approximately 12% of the country's total cereals, whether it is wheat or whether it is rice. So you can imagine the extreme importance of Punjab for food security of India. In Punjab, the major yielded crop is wheat. Wheat is the major yielded crop in Punjab. Now, what are the present concerns in Punjab with respect to irrigation, with respect to water availability and extraction of the groundwater resources? In Punjab, it is reported that the groundwater resources have been depleting at a much more faster pace. The groundwater table has been declining in the region due to excessive irrigation demand for the agriculture, because intensive agriculture is practiced in Punjab, and intensive agriculture demands excessive irrigation needs. And in fact, 27% area in Punjab was irrigated by canal water, and 73% of the total area in Punjab is irrigated for the groundwater. So you can imagine that the exploitation of the underground water resources in Punjab, because in Punjab 73% of the total agriculture area is irrigated by the groundwater resources. However, under irrigation by groundwater has actually increased in recent times from 55% to 73%. However, in future it is expected that total agriculture in Punjab under irrigation, specifically under groundwater irrigation, would further increase from 73% going ahead. However, there is no doubt that it would create a large scale water scarcity in entire Punjab. Now we need to understand why groundwater is a very important and very significant, because groundwater as of now is the largest source of usable fresh water in the whole world. In many parts of the world, especially where the surface water supplies are not available for domestic agriculture and industrial water needs, because we need to meet the industrial water requirements, agriculture water requirements, household water requirements, so they can only met through the underground water resources. However, when we talk about the India's scenario, in India around 90% of the underground water resources are used for the agriculture sector. So India also uses unscientific irrigation methods. It also leads to the faster exploitation or degradation of the precious underground water resources, because what we do unscientific irrigation, and unscientific irrigation generally means we just flood the fields with the water, and that increases the soil salinity, and that also leads to the exploitation of existing scarce water resources, and that is a key concern for us. However, pumping out water from the ground at a faster rate than it can replenish over a long period of time actually causes a lot of problems, and the key problem is water scarcity. People don't even have water to drink. So that is one of the key concern with respect to water scarcity, and this water scarcity has to be dealt with, otherwise it would create a lot of challenges, especially for a country like India. Okay, so in this context we need to talk about some other major aspects with respect to the underground availability. What needs to be done with respect to increasing the availability of underground water resources. So that is also very, very important aspect, right? So in order to improve access, right? So what is the impact of underground water depletion? So we need to understand this, because we have been exploiting more water resources, then what can nature replenish the underground water? So underground water depletion is primarily caused by the exploitation, the faster rate of exploiting the underground water resources, and that would actually have negative effects on the underground water depletion. And in fact, the underground water depletion have a lot of negative consequences. It would substantially lower the water table levels, and it is not that much easier to recharge the underground water tables easily. So excessive pumping of water can lower the groundwater table, and it could further cause wells to no longer be able to reach the groundwater, or wells don't have groundwater, and wells as of now are being used as a sources of irrigation in the agriculture sector, and that also impacts agriculture productivity also. And in fact, if water tables goes down, the water must be pumped farther to the reach surface, and it also requires more energy. In extreme cases, using such well can be cost effective or cost prohibitive. It is not cost effective, rather we can say that it is cost prohibitive. That essentially means that increased cost of pumping water from the depths of underground. So that costs a lot. And in fact, it would also reduces the surface water supplies. It impacts the water cycle as well. Groundwater and surface water are actually connected with each other. When groundwater is overused, the lakes, streams, rivers connected to the groundwater can also have their supply further diminished. And in fact, it would even leads to the land subsidence also. Now, land subsidence generally occurs when there is a loss of support below the ground, and this is most often caused by the human activities, mainly from the overuse of groundwater when soil collapses, compacts, and even drops also. So all these are consequences of depletion of underground water resources. So essentially we need to focus on rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting is a very, very important aspect that has to be identified and should be promoted. And apart from rainwater harvesting, watershed management is also a very, very important. Watershed management, rainwater harvesting, and even increasing awareness among the people, educating them about the sustainable usage of water resources is very, very important. Sustainable water usage methods are the need of the hour, whether it is with respect to industries, households, in the agriculture sector. Now, when we talk about the industries, water recycling should be promoted at the industrial scale. Water recycling should be given a priority, and those industries which have the water recycling facilities should actually be incentivized by the government. And in fact, when we talk about the agriculture sector, we need to achieve the water use efficiency in the agriculture sector in line with per drop more crop, right? So we have a per drop more crop as a theme as part of Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, and this can be achieved through the micro irrigation techniques. The government should provide subsidized micro irrigation tools to the farmers, so therefore farmers would actually achieve the water use efficiency in agriculture. And all these things have to be put in place to make sure that the water resources, the existing water resources, are used in a sustainable manner. And apart from that, so today we have one important mains practice question, that is about self-help groups. Now when we talk about the self-help groups, it is a very important question specifically for general studies paper 2 in the governance part, general studies and social justice part. So it is a very important topic, and there is also a probability that it may be asked in general studies paper 3 also. The question is how self-help groups are a major tool for promoting gender equality and gender empowerment in India. So discuss what is the approach of this question. The approach is that first you need to introduce self-help groups and also briefly write the significance of the self-help groups in the introduction. Secondly, discuss how self-help groups promote gender equality and how they promote that would further result in gender empowerment. And you should also write some challenges that SHGs have been facing and conclude the answer by suggesting a way forward. So this is how actually you need to structure this particular answer. Now first briefly define what is self-help group. And self-help group are informal associations of people. They usually come together and they also find ways so that those ways could actually improve their living conditions and living standards. And in fact, when we talk about the self-help groups, they are generally self-governed institutions and also peer-controlled group of people. In fact, the people who are formed as part of the self-help group are very often coming from similar economic and social backgrounds, and they generally, they associate generally with the help of any NGO or even government agency, and they come together and try to resolve these issues and further improve their living conditions. So this is how you could write a brief description about the self-help groups and then briefly address the significance of the self-help groups. What is the significance of the self-help group? Now why the governments and NGOs have been emphasizing on self-help groups for women empowerment, gender equality? Because very often self-help groups play a very important role in giving credit access to the poor. Now as of now, women don't have access to the credit facilities, especially the institutional credit facilities. So institutional credit is very important because it would make women self-reliant and independent, and this is extremely crucial for poverty alleviation. So in order to alleviate poverty, women should be given access to credit. And self-help groups also play a great role in empowering women, because self-help groups actually help women from the economically weaker sections. They come together, they discuss their issues, they try to resolve their issues, they can get access to the institutional credit, and over a period of time they also build the social capital that is necessary for the women to make them independent and financially self-reliant. And self-help group play instrumental role in ensuring financial independence through self-employment opportunities, and it would also helps in further improving other developmental factors among women, particularly literacy levels, improved healthcare, and even better family planning also. And the second part of the question, discuss how self-help groups promote gender equality and gender empowerment. We could say that this is the core of the answer. So therefore, you need to write as many points as possible. Self-help groups play a very important role in financial inclusion. Now, what is financial inclusion? Now, financial inclusion essentially means that people having access to the financial services, financial literacy, access to banking, digital banking. So everything comes under the financial inclusion. However, so when self-help groups are opening bank accounts through Jan Dhan Yojana, we all knew about Jan Dhan Yojana scheme. Through Jan Dhan Yojana scheme, zero bank accounts are being opened. Most of the beneficiaries are also women. So SHGs actually incentivize banks to lend to poor and even marginalized sections of the society because of the assurance of the returns. And in fact, self-help groups are very often recognized as the voice of the marginalized sections, because SHGs have given voice to the otherwise underrepresented or voiceless sections of the society, and now the women from the underrepresented and voiceless sections have got access to the institutional credit, and that is a very significant and a very important development. So we need to talk about the social integrity as an element. Self-help groups actually help in eradicating many social ills such as dowry, alcoholism, child marriages. So all these things, right? Because when women became financially independent, women became self-reliant. So women could actually take decisions on their own. And when the decision making power of women increases, they could actually act against the evil of dowry, the evil of alcoholism that is widely prevalent, and that further leads to the domestic violence against women, and even against the evil of early marriages also. And in fact, self-help groups play important role in achieving gender equality. How? Because self-help groups very often empower women self-help groups or women, and it would also result in gender equality over a period of time, because it makes women financially independent, financially self-reliant. The decision making power in the family increases. They could take decisions on their own, and that would result in gender equality, changing perceptions about women in the society also. Now, in fact, self-help groups are also recognized that they can play the role of pressure groups, through which pressure can be mounted on the government to act on important issues. So these pressure groups can also make the government act on important issues which are concerning women, and it would also help in further enhancing the effectiveness and efficiency of the government schemes as well. Self-help groups help implement and improve the efficiency of the government schemes. They also help reduce the corruption through the social audits, because self-help groups play a very important role in conducting social audit across different levels of the administration. However, we need to talk about certain challenges that these self-help groups have been facing. So when we talk about the challenges or the problems, prevailing patriarchal mindset in the Indian society is a main problem, and it can lead to negative perceptions and biases towards the women-led initiatives. And there is lack of education and awareness among the women, and that has been further limiting the potential of women and women participation in the self-help group organizations. Even though the authorities take measures for creating awareness among the group members about the schemes, that the welfare schemes that the government has actually launched for the benefit of women, still majority of the group members are unaware about the schemes of assistance offered to them by the government. And apart from that, there is also a limited institutional support, specifically with respect to providing training for the women belonging to self-help groups, and lack of workshops, skill development, incentives for training. So all these are lacking. And there is also a lack of market linkages among women, and that is also one of the major hindrance in the efficiency of self-help group women. So lower levels of literacy rate, especially women, so that further hinders the information gathering and effective product marketing. Additionally, self-help groups actually faces challenges with respect to market linkages. So even if self-help group woman starts any unit, any industry, they lack marketing linkages due to digital illiteracy and even limited access to digital opportunities. So all these problems have been plaguing the functioning of self-help group women. However, the government should actually look into all these challenges. Government should also find out sustainable solutions. That is a very, very important aspect in this context, right? So that's all in this lecture, and thank you so much. So if you like our work, please subscribe our YouTube channel and also hit the like button. Thank you.